Okay, well, we're here at Matt's booth, me and Renzo. So, Matt, tell us a little bit about what you're creating here. I see some beautiful monsters. Obviously, Godzilla.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the descriptor "beautiful monsters," because that's kind of one of the things I kind of strive for. Is like I remember so many people back when I was younger being like, "We were drawing this monster, but it's not like scary," and it's like it doesn't have to be scary. Leave me alone. Anyway, get out of my house. So yeah, I'm working on a couple of commissions, because mostly what I'm known for is doing Godzilla stuff for IDW and just various Godzilla licensors. So yeah, and I'm trying to think if I want to get more specific than that.
Well, when did you start illustrating Godzilla stuff?
Well, when I was a young boy in England, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, like a lot of kids, you draw to do something with your hands, keeps you off the streets, and so, but actually, like drawing Godzilla professionally started in 2010. When IDW Publishing got the license to do Godzilla comics, and I had already worked with them on some Transformers work. Because that's kind of the secret of this industry. You gotta do a bunch of stuff. You gotta do scattershot and try to hope that you can make the inroads to do the stuff you really want to work on. Yeah. Not to say I didn't want to work on Transformers. I like Transformers, but I like Godzilla a little more, but a lot more. So and I've pretty much consistently been working on Godzilla stuff ever since.
Did they give you the Grimlock issues?
Man, I asked for those every opportunity, and you know what? I get it though. They had their superstar Transformers artists, and what I really wanted to do was a Beast Wars book, and I just love Beast Wars so much. That was my Generation 1. That was what got me into Transformers. Anyway,
okay.
I did get to do the first job I did for them was the Beast Wars source book. I did some character illustrations of just these profile pieces and stuff.
Right.
But Godzilla though.
I mean, it could be Beast Wars. Talk about the different kinds of monsters that inspired you to get into these big movie monsters. Maybe it was the big movie monsters themselves.
I mean, that's functionally the way you could put it. Because, when little kids are it's much easier to get a kid into Kaiju stuff, into Godzilla stuff, than it is a person in their 30s whose brain has solidified and has decided, I don't need any more suspension of disbelief. Although thankfully in recent years I've managed to get some friends into Godzilla that I didn't think I was going to be able to. And lo and behold, it actually has worked out that way. But yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I just was drawn to this stuff because I loved dinosaurs, and would go see the dinosaur exhibits at the Whitty Museum in San Antonio, Texas, and then Godzilla was sort of the natural spin out from that. And at that point, my hyperfixations had locked in, and I'm like, well, this is just going to be the rest of my life.
Brilliant. That's cool. It's cool.
I remember, so you started in 2010 drawing. I remember around that time, it was kind of slim pickings if you were a Godzilla fan anywhere in the world. And then, then we got the Legendary film, we got Shin Godzilla. Have you seen sort of a change in the audience since that time?
It's actually a really, really good point. Do we have 4 hours? Never mind.
No,
I'll give
unfortunately.
you the abridged version. So, yeah, I mean, when that's sort of what I credit my career to is being able to do Godzilla stuff and being popular doing Godzilla stuff. Not to toot my own horn, but a lot of people in the Godzilla fandom thankfully know who I am, and it's really been very gratifying. When I first started posting stuff online, I was one of the only people doing Godzilla fan art, and I doggedly refused to draw anything else. And I was doing art paired with fan fiction and stuff because I was because I wasn't seeing this stuff, so I wanted to just put it out there. And for a lot of people, you know, because there was no Godzilla media in the mid to late 2000s, they kind of latched onto that. And so, but now with Shin Godzilla and the MonsterVerse and Godzilla -1 and all the other crap that they're putting out, and I mean that in the most loving way I can, it's largely thanks to the fact that media is now can be very hyper-specific and can find an audience. Like, I thought I would be dead in a gutter somewhere before Ultraman was readily available in the United States. And here we are, because you can find an audience, mostly thanks to the internet. You can find an audience, and IPs just basically stay in a constant state of renewal. And like, I think we've gotten like 5 or 6 different versions of the Ninja Turtles in the last like 6-7 years.
It's a whole machine that keeps going.
Yeah, that's just it's never ending.
New movie was really good.
Yeah, I still need to see it.
It was really cute. It was really cute.
Tsuburaya is like, if you draw Hanuman, we're taking off your right hand.
I'm not gonna say I haven't had conversations. It's more like they're just like whatever. I mean, I haven't specifically asked anyone at the company about that because I'm not a dick. We just don't worry about it. It's just because it's not a problem anymore. And I mean, and Sampo Sans is no longer with us, which is a little sad because he was this weird dude, and I actually know people who knew him, and I was kind of like, it'd be interesting to meet him at least. But he was a weird dude. And there's something kind of fascinating about that. But anyway, no, Hanuman has not come up in any meetings.
What are you working on right now?
Right now?
Or in general, anything that you got in the pipeline you want to plug?
So I just finished... no, it's okay, it's okay. As long as it's picking everybody up, that's what's important.
Hopefully.
Most recently, I completed work on the Space Godzilla one-shot that I did for IDW. It's for the Godzilla Rivals series. It comes out in 2 weeks from now, August 30th. That one, I also commissioned a trailer for that, for like a comic trailer, and I posted that on my YouTube channel. It's on a few other YouTube channels too, which is really exciting. And that's just a fun one-shot. You know, it's my first time I've gotten to get back into the Godzilla comics, like. And I actually wrote and illustrated it because I'm trying to get in more writing.
Okay.
And I also did the Gorgo Blu-ray artwork for the Gorgo release from Vinegar Syndrome, which is very funny. That I was like, Vinegar Syndrome, the people who do the weird porn and horror movies.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Hey, you know,
What do you got? Mrs. 45, some K. Parker movies. Oh yeah, we need you to do Gorgo.
It was really weird and very cool. Like, because I reached out to Arrow first because I knew I know the Titanic Creations guys who helped them out with it. You know what? It doesn't matter. But I did do the art for the Titanic Creations Gorgo action figure and the Titanic Creations Gorgo plush. And then I was like, well, you guys have the license. Let me reach out to Arrow, who did the Gamera box set, and let me talk to them, and maybe they'll want to do Gorgo. And I hit up my old contact there, and he said, we're not doing that one. Do you want to talk to the people who are? And I'm like, okay. So yeah, so that it's been a year of Gorgo stuff, but I've seen that movie so many times just in the last year.
So when Criterion does Reptilicus, they'll give you a call.
That movie, it is such a weird. Do you know what we're talking about?
I've not seen that movie yet, but I'm like ready to dive into it.
Actually, I bet you've seen the clip of the. Can we get B-roll of the guy being electrocuted? We'll get B-roll of that in here.
Very weird.
I have not seen it yet, but I cannot wait to dive into this world.
I think the MST3K reboot is still on Netflix. The first episode is Reptilicus.
Okay.
Watch that version.
Reptilicus.
What was it, Dutch or Finnish? It was the Dutch Kaiju movie, Denmark.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I have heard of this. Heard of this.
Yes.
Okay,
There
I have to physically see it to like remember it. Okay,
Weird,
I haven't seen it though.
Very puppety
Yeah,
kaiju monster dude guy thing, and it's And the thing is that in the original Dutch version, because I've seen the Dutch version, and it's more of a comedy. It's more played for laughs, especially because there's moments where you're like, okay, this has to be intentional. Like there's a general. He's like the American general who's coming to like basically take over the situation. And every time they cut back to him during the big final confrontation, he somehow has more sweat on him. Like and he's the only one who's that sweaty. And I just like, is this supposed to be funny? It's amazing. And that MST3K has my favorite joke of all time, which is a fire in the aquarium. Well, that'll sort itself out. And I'm like, oh, God, it's so good. Yeah, almost like they're writers. Yeah.
So many
Interesting word
gems.
for it.
Is there any other? So I know like the tokusatsu like genre. Once it became popular, there's a bunch of spin-offs, like the Dutch production. Like I know about like people trying to like kind of copy and like make their own, like other countries. Like, is there any other ones that are kind of ridiculous like this one?
Like it all kind of spins out because you had King Kong in the 30s, which is this cultural landmark. That was too expensive and too time consuming, so all the other people wanting to make King Kong-like movies had to opt for cheaper versions, which is where you get like a rubber suit for Godzilla or a puppet for Reptilicus. It's like you get to Godzilla, and it's like Godzilla at the time was like the best you could do on a budget if you didn't want to spend 7 years making King Kong. And then everything else is like, well, we can do cheaper. So you get one that comes to mind. And let me be clear about something. I love tokusatsu, and I love cheap tokusatsu. Everything, because you know, even if it looks super cheap, you know that these people were busting their, can I curse on this show? Busting
We sell all sorts of crazy ass books. We'll run some B-roll of the Maruo and Kago books.
busting their asses on these movies because, you know, it's hard making practical effects. That's why Hollywood is trying to go all CGI, because you don't have to spend a bunch of time and money on post-production with models and stuff. So
Practical effects, I think they hold up. If done right.
Exactly. Like, I mean, again, 4 hours, but...
I know.
But some others that jump to mind are, what is it called? Gappa the Triphibian Monster. I was going to say, that's another...
These are probably gold mines. I need to...
Gappa was Shochiku. Wait. Nikatsu. One of the oldest studios. It was like the only...
Yeah, the Roman porno people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Roman porno is a genre of Japanese film that literally means romantic pornography. They're basically romance films that happen to have sex in them. Anyway,
Fascinating.
fascinating.
I mean, it's an art
It is.
form.
Well,
it's an art
part.
form.
Yes, it is. Thank you. It's part of the milieu of Japanese film production. What the hell were we talking about? Gappa. Gappa is a family monster movie, literally, because it's about a baby monster who gets captured by a capitalist, as is the want of a lot of these movies.
It's so many of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And his parents are like, it's kind of like Gorgo. It's like the parents are like, oh, you coming to my house. You take my kid? Oh, I'm destroying your infrastructure and wrecking your economy. And it's like, and that movie, it actually would be a lot stronger if it chose to focus on the family dynamic of the evil capitalist and his daughter. There's actually these beautiful little moments in the movie, like the capitalist is the capitalist. He's like a magazine magazine publisher guy. Anyway, he is like trying to go with all. He's trying to like figure out like. He's just doing businessy stuff, and it's kind of played for laughs. But in the same room, his daughter is getting like I think she's getting dancing lessons from like a dancing instructor, very traditional Japanese. And there's a moment when, and this guy is obviously set up as the villain. He kind of looks up at his daughter, and he's just like his face lights up because he's just watching her exist.
That glimmer of humanity just kind of like flashes through his eyes, and then
he crushes it because he doesn't want the other people in his company that he's working with in this meeting to see him crack his facade. And so if they had stuck with that as the subplot to connect to the Gappas, it would have been great. Instead, they had to tack on a crappy love story where literally the moral was, you women scientists, you guys should, you could be having babies. I'm like, Nikatsu? What are you doing?
Are you insinuating that Nikatsu, the 1960s, 1970s Japanese softcore porno directors might not have been Susan Sontag. They might not have had the most nuanced approach.
Yeah, probably not the most progressive portrayal of ladies, and yeah.
But it's frustrating because you watch the films of Ishiro Honda. You watch the films of Ishiro Honda and of Godzilla and stuff, and I'm not going to say he was like super progressive, but he was very socially conscious.
Okay.
And they always tried to wing a little message in there. You know, there were definitely reductive stuff and stuff that were products of their time.
Yeah, products of their time.
Yeah, but like, and I'm not even saying this is the Gap is an especially egregious example of this because there's definitely worse. It just was like, man, you had it and you ruined it because you had to get, again, a crappy love story in there. So whatever.
Yeah,
anyway.
and it could have been like the executives like, what's going to sell? Like, what's going to, that's probably what kind of, drove it.
Put a love story in it because if we don't, the peanut gallery will riot, I guess. Not like they're just here to see monsters. Ugh. Anyway.
We are, though, we are.
Kind of are. But the music, but the story makes it give a little you wing a little message, and you make a nice story to go with it. And we did that 4 hours. Okay. Anyway, yeah.
We'll have a Redux cut. We'll have the Matt Franck interview, the theatrical cut. We'll have the Redux cut.
But a lot of opinions about movies from half a century ago.
Don't we all? That's why everyone is here.
Yep.
Yes.
I think you can say that about this whole show. We're all here because we have strong opinions about movies from half a century ago.
I'm here to learn about these, movies from half a century ago. But in this like subgenre, it's just so. It's so fun, and I'm just so, uncultured right now. So I'm learning a lot. Thank you.
Well, I have a lot of friends who are, like I said, I'm doing the same thing for. I will make a recommendation for you then.
Please. I'm literally going to write these down after the interview.
Okay, sure. I'll write them down for you.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, there's the Gamera trilogy from the 90s. I don't know if that's required viewing. Those are three.
I have that with your box art on it. Thank you. From Arrow Video.
Those are three of the best monster movies ever made. Excellent special effects and practical effects and just great stories, and you'll love them. Especially if you're an anime fan.
Like I'm a little bit more versed in like horrors. Like I just rewatched The Thing, and like I love Hellraisers. That's what I kind of know. So I want to see like these monster movies, like classic ones.
You'll like the Gamera trilogy then because they definitely wanted to kind of lean into more horror aesthetics for certain scenes. Even though Gamera is sort of a family-friendly monster, the enemy monsters are very violent, and like there's definitely more gore than you would, and more horror-esque elements.
Not quite Jesus wept, but it gets there.
God, that was such a good scene. Oh my God.
Another thing I will highly recommend is Howl from Beyond the Fog.
Howl from Beyond the Fog.
It's a direct-to-video. It's also on streaming, I think, on like Amazon or something. It's actually directed by my friend Daisuke Sato, and it's a short film. It's like 45 minutes or something. It's all puppets. All the human characters are portrayed with like these little mannequins, and the kaiju is, of course, a rubber suit.
I have seen like clips of stuff like this on YouTube, but just passive.
There's the poster right there. So
that's very classic like Japanese ukiyo. Yeah, that's the word. Okay.
I definitely channeled that for that style. Nice. I like to play in that realm a lot. So yeah, I highly recommend that. It's very Shakespearean tragedy sort of story, but it's got some hopeful stuff in it too, and it's just very dramatic, very very dramatic, more dramatic than you'd think these somewhat stiff puppets are.
But like the storytelling and the like writing, the characters, the moments that like you can suspend the knowledge that it's obviously a puppet. Like if you just immerse yourself in it and you just enjoy it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it has its traditions in Japanese puppet theater, you know, and stuff like that. So I would highly recommend that. Again, like I'm sure there's more I could recommend, but those are the ones that come off the top of my head.
Can we talk about your art for a second?
Yes, if we must.
We're all creatures of our influences. I think everyone here wears their influences on their sleeves, literally and figuratively. So are you pulling from Alex Raymond or Frazetta, or when you're doing sort of your creature composition?
Well, you know, you grow up with, like you said, the influences that you have, and so the first one that comes to mind is Art Adams, who was, you know, this comic book legend, and he also worked on a lot of Godzilla stuff in the 90s. Got to finally meet him a few years ago, and I was extremely flattered he knew who I was.
It's so rad.
It was very, very cool. I have been called a dime store Art Adams, which I will take as the highest compliment of my career. It was meant as an insult. And let's see. Art Adams is a big one. Bill Stout, Mr. William Stout. He's done a lot of Hollywood illustration, like like special effects development.
Return of the Living Dead was one of his.
Yeah. He did the Tar Man. He designed the Tar Man.
Oh my God! See, I know these people's work, and like I've seen it. I have to physically see the work. I'm very bad with the names, though. So thank you.
Well, that's the thing. Like it's a lot of these guys whose work I was influenced by and admired. I didn't really learn about them until I really started getting into college and stuff, and started like, well, who are my influences? You know, and like. You know, and I'm happy that to say that a lot of them I can call friends now, like Bob Eggleton, who's another Godzilla artist. He's a buddy of mine now, and we've even worked on some projects together. He's an amazing acrylics painter. And then Shinji Nishikawa, who's the designer of Godzilla 2000 and Biollante and a bunch of other monsters. You know,
early doujinshi work is really just very funny with the sort of he did a comic where basically Godzillas are real, but they're about yay big. And they're everywhere.
He's got a great sense of humor for the genre. And, you know, I could go on and on. I'm just, somebody who's here this weekend is actually Hideo Okamoto sensei. Okamoto is another designer he designed Destroya. He designed a couple of monsters for some Godzilla movies, and he was the character designer from Ronin Warriors, the 90s anime that I watched on Toonami, and I'm like, I had no idea.
Great toys.
Yeah.
So what was it like, you know, starting to get into comics and illustrations and taking that leap from, you know, where you're from, which, by the way, are you from Los Angeles? Are you from California?
I'm from Texas.
All right.
I still live in I live in Austin, Texas, the Austin area. Nobody actually lives in Austin. It's too damn.
All the, like outside. You know,
yeah, it's becoming a tiny Los Angeles. So thanks for that, guys.
But yeah, so coming from Texas, like, so you've illustrated, you've drawn your whole life. That leap of faith, or just a jump, or you know, tripping into Los Angeles and this industry in general, what was it like, and how did that happen?
It's another really good one, because really when I was in high school was when I decided I think this is what I want to do, like professionally, full time. Much to my parents' chagrin, they were not super thrilled. Kind of hoping that, well, he's going to go to the University of Texas, maybe he'll get a different job. But of course I graduated when the economy collapsed in 2008, so I'm sure I just had to work harder. Anyway, so, but yeah, I mean, I would say it's a little bit more of being an artist, and being driven to be an artist is it's like just to the left of essentially having a mental illness.
Yes. Hold on. There's a bug.
Yeah, that guy's been around here for a little while.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so it's just one of those things where it's like you have to be compelled to do this, because not like for me to, like, for example, tell a younger artist, oh yeah, follow your dreams, you know, that's like I don't know who said this, but I think the quote was that's like Taylor Swift telling somebody. Taylor Swift telling somebody to go follow their dreams is like a lottery winner telling somebody to, like, liquidate all their finances and quit their job and buy Powerball tickets. Like, not everybody gets to do it. And you can have the drive, and you can even have the talent. I have seen some amazingly, astonishingly talented people get nothing because, like every other industry, it's about who you know, and it's about, you know, which I'm very fortunate. I know the people I do, and it's just, you know. So for me, I was just brute forcing it and brute forcing it and brute forcing it, and I've picked up a lot of lessons about how to make things happen for myself, because no one's going to hand it to me. Like I said, you know, I did Godzilla versus Space. I did the Space Godzilla comic, and I thought, I know people who could make like a trailer for me, like, because comic trailers are a thing, and but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get the publisher to do it. Like, they're probably not going to want to do it because, you know, just their budgets are tight and they have to allocate them in certain ways. So I said, screw it, I'll just pay for it myself. And last I checked, it had like a couple thousand views, or maybe it's up to 10 by now, I don't know, but it was just like in the last week. But so, and it's like, again, you have to make stuff happen for yourself sometimes. And because I have so many people who ask me, like, well, who do I talk to and what can I do? And it's like, it is about who you talk to and it is about what you do, but it's just as much about what you do for yourself. So, and there is like, and you sort of every now and then, if you're fortunate enough to be able to do the things you love to do as a living, it is nice every now and then to take a step back and be like, oh, well, that's where I was. This is where I am now. Okay, stuff's changed. That's good. Acknowledge that. I think I answered your question. I don't know.
You absolutely did. That was very in-depth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking with us. And we'll stop infuriating the people that commissioned you by taking up your time.
Yeah, thank you so much again. Like,
Sure.
It's been good just chatting about, God, all these fun, like, niche, like, just
Things.
the monster movie. What was it called? It's like
Gamera,
Gorgo and all that.
Fun one.
Yeah, so thank you.
It's a bunch of G's. A bunch of G's and 2 to 3 syllable names. Anyway, yeah, no, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Thank you for watching.